Man, I've grown up listening to them sing, and there is nothing like it. My name's Brad Smith. I'm Jackie's eldest son. Thank you all for being here today. It's incredible just to look out and see so many faces, and just like, if there's ever a picture of heaven, I think it's standing here looking and seeing like almost literally every person that you know and love. And this is what we all get to experience someday. And yesterday at the graveside was a day of burial and sadness, but today, you saw these pictures. It's been such an amazing ride. My mom was such an amazing woman. I have a few things that I just wanted to say about her. I'm a mama's boy, and this is going to be hard for me, so bear with me. My mom is always the most comfortable place in the world. Her hugs just never ended. You know, you never reach that point in a hug where it kind of gets awkward. It was just like with my mom, it was like, I'm there as long as you want to be here, and I'm going to miss those. A few things about her. She was a teacher. Even though she didn't have a college degree, from day one, she was just always a teacher. She taught us, my brother and I, she taught us like how to learn for ourselves, and that was so important, because she taught us the skills to pick up anything and to work backwards from it, to undo it, to take the time to understand something deeply. And she was patient, but she just had that knack that any good teacher has. And those of you who have worked with her know that she knew how to get someone to understand deeply that one thing that kind of puts them over the edge. And she had a heart for the kids who, maybe were a little bit behind in school or had a little bit of trouble, or she had a heart for those kids. And her heart was so big, and there was so much room. And I think that teacher mentality and that teacher spirit just was will live on in our hearts and minds for a long time. The second thing is that, to me, she was always kind of a little girl at heart. She loved to have fun. I mean, she was kind of a reserved person, but she loved going to the beach. She loved having fun with us, going out and playing in the yard. And but most of all, I think she was a little girl whose heart was always back in the Midwest. She grew up in northern Minnesota, ice skating on the frozen lakes, and she missed the snow out there. She missed those frozen lakes, ice skating and building snowmen and snow caves, and those hot, muggy summers full of bugs and just miserable things to us. But she just loved them. And I think her heart was always back in the Midwest. She loved the color purple. Candyland was always her favorite game. So she was a little girl at heart. The third thing is that she was a grandma. I don't think she even knew how much she was going to love being a grandma until she was one. I can't look at my dad. Obviously it's Carly and I's fault that she was a grandma, but when we found out she was sick, the only thing we wanted to do was just to have kids, so she could get as much time with those grandkids. And that teacher mentality, combined with that being a little girl at heart, just made her the perfect person to be a grandma to these little kids. And it's such a tragedy to us down here that she didn't get to meet Solomon, but for those of you who don't know, her third grandchild, Solomon, was born 3 days after she died. But in a lot of ways, I think she did get to meet Solomon, right? I think she named him when Carly found that name just kind of out of nowhere, not a name we'd thought of, but it means one who recompenses, which is one who takes the place of. and it also means peace. And so I think she kind of kicked him out of heaven. She told me that she didn't want him to be born. He was due on the day that she died, and she didn't want him to be born on the same day she died, because she didn't want his birthday to live on as a tragic day. And so I think she went out there and she kicked him out. And then I have 5 things. The 4th thing is that she was funny. And this is something that you kind of really got to know if you only really knew her, because she was a quiet person, and but she had this just this humorous funny bone that showed up at random times, like the time that she made brownies for my friend Justin and I. Coming back from high school, she'd made us brownies, and she loved to tease Justin so much because he'd come over every day after school, and he comes in, and she made sure that he got this one particular brownie that was in the corner of the batch because she'd hidden a plastic fly in it. And she wanted him to bite into the plastic fly and go like, oh, think it's a real fly or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, chef isn't on my list of things that she was, even though she did a decent job. But we never found the fly. And she felt so bad. I don't think she ever even told Justin, but she was like, did he ever say anything? And I was like, no, I thought you didn't give him that. And so I hope it digested well. And then the last and most important thing is that she was such a good Christian. She had such a deep and intimate relationship with her Savior. And I know for a fact that she prayed for my brother and I every day of her life. That we were around, obviously, but she did her devotions faithfully. But she just had this deep trust and sincere love for her Savior. I know that she loved him first, and that her family came next. And amidst all of the fear and looking out over eternity and trying to deal with crossing that line, it was hard. But there were so many times where she was the encouragement to us, where I just go in the back room and just unleash an epic weeping session, and she just comes, and I come back out, and she just comforts me like a mother can and lets me know that it's okay. And it doesn't seem right, but it's because her faith was so deep, and she knew that her Savior was right here with her through it all. In John 15:15, I'm almost done. Jesus says, I am the vine and you are the branches. And he goes on to say later, to remain in me and I in you. And I never really understood that until I sort of realized that the life is in the vine. And when the gardener comes through and he's trimming the vines to produce, so that they'll produce more fruit. And sometimes it's important for the gardener to chop the vines off or to cut them and prune them in certain ways. And to us, it might seem violent or unfair for those vines to experience that. But when the branches are pruned, there is no less life in the vine. The life remains 100% full. And all of the life, the pruning is meant so that the life goes into the fruit. And, we are her fruit, but we're all her fruit. And I just pray that you take her memory and you carry it forward, and that you live your life a little bit differently because you knew my mom. All right.